It ain't our ball. It's our ball, ain't it? It's our ball! Hey! It's our ball!
Welcome back to our second episode of the Our Ball podcast. I'm Ryan Garcia. That's Josh Wilson. And Josh, the Eastern and Western Conference Finals are going to kick off. Obviously, we had game one of the Western Conference Finals. We'll talk about that. Eastern Conference Finals, Knicks and Cavs. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But we've also got some teams who got knocked out in some pretty devastating fashions, whether it's the Minnesota Timberwolves or the Pistons, who went up 2-0 and proceeded to lose the series in pretty deciding fashion in Game 7. But Josh, before we get into everything, how you doing, man?
I'm feeling good, man. Just enjoying summer now. On break, finals are over, and we could finally just, fully immerse ourselves into the pod and, just, getting into the content, just getting into the whole fold, especially throughout the off season. I think we have a lot of opportunities to just take advantage of this off time that we have now. School being out the way is just, it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling, especially like any college students. That April, May area, like right after midterms, it's like you don't even really have a break. Like spring break hits, but it doesn't really feel like a break, right? You get right back to the projects, right back to the assignments and exams. So I'm just glad to just finally relax. I've been catching up on shows, binge watching Daredevil. I've been on my Daredevil watch. I'm on the last episode. I'm about to knock that out right after this. But man, the playoffs have been very, very entertaining. I guess we can start with the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards, man. I put up a great fight. Timberwolves in general, they're still a great team. They're still a threat in the West. I want to ask you a quick question. How do you feel about Julius Randle?
I think he's a good NBA player who's just too flawed to be a number two. He can't, maybe there's some usage things. Maybe there's a way they could better optimize him. But given how good Anthony Edwards is, and I don't think this series should be a stain on Edwards' legacy at all. Actually, I think this postseason should lift him more in terms of how we view him, because he did this on a busted up leg. You've got Anthony. Yeah, it's hard to find a player as good as Anthony Edwards in the draft. So if you want to go all in, if you want to go for it, I think you've just got to do better than Julius Randle. You just do. He looked horrible in this series and in this postseason. And Josh, can you think of a good postseason that Julius Randle's had?
Yeah, look, we rooting for the Knicks right now. I got the Knicks hat right here. We rooting for the Knicks, but I'm just so glad he's off the Knicks. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. I'm very, very happy that he's not on my team. Definitely would be in the way of the offense. He's just one of those guys that, I don't know, he's too one-dimensional. And it's crazy at this point in his career. He's still the same player. I heard somebody compare him to Russell Westbrook. I think that's a great comparison, right? Very athletic, kind of goes 0 to 100 really quick and, doesn't really pace that well. I don't know. I wouldn't really want him on my team. That's just me. But the Spurs, they're just a young team that just plays with a ton of energy. They proved me wrong. I had Timberwolves pulling this out, but man, when you have, like you said, Julius Randle as your two, it's not happening. Edwards, he had 32 game 4 and then 36 the game after. So, I mean, what more can you ask out of him, right? Still was the leading scorer for over half the series on that hyperextended knee, right? I think that he's looking to be around top 3 in the league right now. If you go based off of their playoffs and how they contribute to the team, definitely he's in a conversation for at least top 3 in the league, in my opinion.
I don't think I'm as high as Edwards as top 3, but I do think he's in my top 7-ish range at this point in time. Just
7.
Given, I think he's inside my top 7 for sure at this point in time. I don't think it's easy for me to overlook. I mean, look, if you were saying, based on your parameters, just based on the postseason, yes, top 3. But if I'm just looking at, projecting how these guys are going to perform next year, I think I still have to pay my respects to Jokic. I still have to pay my respects to, obviously, Wemby and SGA, I think, are the two best players in the world right now. If I were to expand, I think Cunningham has an argument for being better. I would have Edwards over him, but just because he's a better shooter. But you get my point. I don't think Edwards is incapable of being a top 3 player or anything of the sort. I'm just a little less aggressive about ranking him that high, if that makes sense.
I wonder. So you think Shy is above Edwards?
I think SGA is a more well-rounded NBA player. I think his defensive abilities give me a little bit more confidence in him to impact games positively every single time out. Do I think Anthony Edwards has the ability to just kind of like 1 year he puts it together where like the defense comes together? He's obviously an excellent jump shooter, and he goes out and like wins an MVP. That's not out of the question at all. Like I don't doubt his ability to do that, but I do believe SGA's defensive abilities. I know he's coming off of a pretty tough game to be having this conversation with. That was a bad game one. We'll get into that. But again, I don't think this is as much of like what I don't think Edwards can do, but rather what I think other guys in the league can do. So again, like I say top 7 roughly. I don't know if I honestly, could I name 5 guys who I comfortably have over Anthony Edwards? Answer is definitely no. So maybe I think he's top 5. Maybe that's actually my answer. Now I think that went out a little bit more.
I think I'm looking at Edwards. He's never really been shut down. He's never really been stopped by a defense. They've thrown double teams at him, and he's found a way to avoid it, shoot over it, or just escape them. I think Shea, SGA, he's been dealing with double teams this playoffs, and he's been having a rough time. He's been getting bailed out by his teammates in the Lakers series, and you're seeing it now against the Spurs. His teammates are showing up for him big time, and they should. They're the best team in the league, but that's kind of why he's been the MVP. If you're gonna put SGA over Ant, and you're going based off of, I guess okay, yeah, he has 2 MVPs. He's also been on the number 1 seed team twice, so of course he's gonna get that. I feel like Edwards, you put him on that team for the last 2 seasons, he's winning 2 MVPs. I don't know. I just think I think Edwards is definitely. I think he's very solidified in the league right now. I think even Vic coming off of last night, he's also solidified. Like that was kind of his awakening game, but I don't know. I think Edwards is a little above him right now. In the league right now. Just based off what they've done.
I will get into Wemby a little bit because I've got a take about him. We'll get into him a little bit later. But as it pertains to the Timberwolves and the Pistons, and this is the question I'll ask you because I think it's an interesting one. Which team do you trust more to get back to this point or do better than they did this past year? So again, Pistons lose in the conference semifinals, same as the Timberwolves. Which team is more likely to get back here or do better? Like, who are you higher on for the next upcoming season?
That's a good question, and I'm gonna go with Timberwolves easily, just because they've been in the conference finals the last 2 years, and so now this is kind of like a minor setback for them. Them beating the Nuggets the way they did in dominant fashion, I think that kind of showed that they're a good team. They face some injuries and some setbacks, so I think they make the right moves and they know what moves to make. They know what players to keep. I think compared to the Pistons, I think that this run leaves them with a lot of questions. Just my opinion.
I would have to agree. I think the other thing for me is that I think Edwards is like Cade Cunningham had a really strong postseason. I don't think Game 7, which was a bad Game 7, should erase that. But I do think it's easier to build around a guy who's a more traditional guard or more traditional scoring guard in the sense that his ability to space the floor is elite. Like Edwards is a very underrated jump shooter in the sense that, because he can drive to the rim, because he's such a good athlete and he came out of the draft as an excellent athlete, I think people just kind of forget that he's also shooting with ridiculous volume from 3. He shot 40% from 3 on 8 attempts this year. He shot 40% from 3 last year on 10 attempts per game from 3. Like, he's an elite 3-point shooter. How many 3-point shooters are like comfortably better than him is really the question you can ask over the last 2 years. And there isn't a long list of guys doing that. And remember, he's the number 1 option. He's a shot creator. He's creating for himself. He plays with a center who over those 2 years is like comfortably one of the worst offensive players in the league. And I'm not trying to take away from the defensive contributions that Gobert has, but like Edwards is responsible for carrying this offense. This offense has a legitimate black hole at center. There isn't a second star here. There isn't like he had Cat before, but there's no like Karl Anthony Towns level player on offense working with him. I do think Cade would benefit from a second star as well, but I do think the Timberwolves, for some reason, it just feels like the Timberwolves are just more involved in these star conversations. They were involved in the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. They were heavily linked to Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I still think they could get that done. Like, if you were to ask me which team's more likely to pull in that star, I would say the Timberwolves. And because of that, and there's also some mobility here, right? Like, Gobert can be moved. Randall can be moved. You can move their salaries and try and import a star by attaching picks to them. The Pistons, it's a little bit harder. They're going to have to either figure out what they're doing. They're going to have to figure out what they're doing with Jalen Duren. I don't think they're going to pay him, but if they don't choose to pay him, how do they fill that salary? It's not like free agency has like a star that's perfect for Cade. Again, it's a little bit tougher for me to envision it with the Pistons, and I do think the West is better, right? Like the Spurs and the Thunder are better than I think the teams that the Pistons will have to run into in the postseason if they get to the finals, or if they're on the road to the finals. But I think Edwards is a better player. I think that there's more of an attraction to go to Minnesota for some reason. I'm not sure why. I'm not saying I'd rather be in Minnesota than Detroit. I'm just saying it seems that stars are a little bit more amenable to it. So I don't know. I think, and we can get into the Pistons here. Like,
yeah, I would like to get into the Pistons.
Yeah, there's just not another option outside of Cade who can self-create. Like Tobias Harris, solid, admirable job in the postseason, but didn't get it done in Game 7.
But he does.
You can't rely on him.
No,
but you can't rely on him for that.
He's not.
And he's not paid to be a second star, but Jalen Duren was supposed to be that second star. And he's not a second option.
He resembled DeAndre in a few moments this playoffs, and it's just, like, I don't know, like, you're relying on Paul Reed to have good games, and you're the first seed in the East. I don't know. It was just a very weird playoffs for them. They had to go 7 with Orlando. I think, like I said, they're left with a lot of questions. I think they really need to retool. I think they got to get rid of a few guys on that bench. I'm just saying. I think is Dennis Schroeder on that team? I think he's actually on the Cavs.
Yeah, he's on the Cavs now. Yeah, he was on the Cavs. On the Pistons, obviously.
Right, but they have who's off the bench for them? Is it
that's the issue, right? Like their bench isn't very strong.
He had like I think it was Marcus Sasser. I'm sorry, I got mixed up with Schroeder, but I think Marcus Sasser. He had like a terrible Game 7, terrible. Just first of all, you can't allow the away team to walk on your home floor in Game 7. They stomped on them, like the Cavs smoked the boots off them. That was crazy just to watch, because I'm thinking it's gonna be competitive. I don't know, like Harden had a bad game and the Cavs still did what they wanted. They had their way around the Pistons. I honestly, yeah, like I said, Pistons, you got to make some trades. You got to get rid of some guys. That's just my opinion, though. Jaden Ivey was right. He was right about them. Hey, everybody was calling him crazy. Hey, can't call him crazy, can't. Broken clock right twice a day.
You probably could call him a little bit out there, just not for basketball reasons. What a side story that was. But I think with this Pistons team, they didn't have the scoring depth needed to get past the Cavs. And we talked about this. This was a legacy game for Donovan Mitchell. Kind of a legacy moment, right? Like you have not gone to the conference finals in your career, and I think if this season they failed to do so, the noise would have been louder, because at least in Utah is always, well, he's in a conference with the Golden State Warriors, and he doesn't have a second offensive star. Like, he's young and this and that, and last year injuries, but like the noise was going to get loud this year because there wasn't really a reason for the Cavs to not go to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. And look, Donovan Mitchell had an incredible game. He was awesome. I thought his efficiency, I think he shot 10 for 22. That was a little bit muddied by the end of the game. He didn't shoot so well when the game was out of reach, but who cares, right? Like, who cares at that point?
If you watch the game, they were just on attack mode. Anytime the Pistons kind of tried to go in the run, the Cavs the gap got wider. Like, it didn't matter.
And this Cavs team is built to mask some of Harden's deficiencies in Game 7 situations. Look, I don't know if it's mental, if it's physical. I actually have no idea why James Harden is so bad in a Game 7 situation. It's every single time. You can bank on Game 7 Harden to stink it up, but it doesn't matter because Donovan Mitchell can create for his teammates on occasion. 8 assists, no turnovers. Jared Allen had a great Game 7. Evan Mobley had a strong Game 7. Sam Merrill, red hot from 3, just shooting like a pistol out there. They have the ability to mask it. Now, if you're going to win the East, you're not going to be able to do it with James Harden stinking up every game, but the 1 to 2 games where he's not great, you can make up for it. And I think that's a big difference between the Cavs or previous James Harden teams where he's the second option and this team that has James Harden as the second option. I also want to say this with the Cavs, right? Like, you went down 2-0, you got punched in the mouth, and you punched right back. You defended your home court. You win that Game 6, one of the biggest wins, honestly. If we really think about it, right? Like, take away the LeBron years, right? How many games were bigger than Game 6 of this series for this franchise?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Not many. Yeah.
they have a
Not many at
decision to
all.
pay Donovan Mitchell, or excuse me, not Game 7, Game 6, Game 7. Sorry.
But they
Because
did-
Pistons
they
won
did win
Game 6.
Oh, okay.
Game 5.
I thought-
Yeah, because I meant to say Game 7. I said Game 6. The Pistons won Game 6. Cavs won Game 5. That was obviously, again, a huge win for the Cavs. That comeback win that they had. But again, like, I mean, think about everything that's riding here, right? Donovan Mitchell is due to get a massive contract. Do you give him that contract if you lose this series? It's a real question. And now that, like, I'm not saying it doesn't matter what happens in this Knicks series. Look, if they get emasculated, right? Like, you're going to, not that you're not going to, but you're going to ask yourself, okay, what about this core? But if they lose in like 6 to the Knicks, are you going to sit back and go, nope, can't pay Donovan Mitchell? You're going to sit back and go, okay, make a couple of tweaks, retool this roster a little bit, and we can go to the finals. I don't think this Cavs team is far away. I think this Cavs team has a legitimate star duo in Harden and Mitchell. And, you know, if their bigs are going to play like this in the postseason, those questions go away, because I've had questions about their double big lineup. We'll see how they do against the Knicks, but they've silenced a lot of just criticism that they've gotten over the last few years by finally breaking through and getting to that conference finals.
I look forward to seeing them. I look forward to seeing them versus the Knicks tonight, Game 1. Just speaking of the Knicks, I mean, we could get into the Knicks. Just them, I think they beat the Knicks. I mean, sorry, they beat the Cavaliers twice earlier in the year, and then when the Cavs got Harden, they actually lost to the Cavaliers. So that's interesting. I think that the Cavaliers, I think they play a certain type of defense that might give the Knicks some problems. We'll see how they respond to it, of course. Game 1, to me, doesn't really matter too much. It just sets the tempo of the series. Game 2, I feel like if the Knicks take Game 1 and 2, then I think this is going to look like a similar series to last series with the Knicks and how they kind of just stomped through Philly. I think it would be similar. But I think if the Cavaliers take one of these games, it's going to be a very competitive series. Just my opinion.
Look, I think that the Cavs are a far better opponent than the previous two the Knicks have played, and for that reason, I think this is going to be a longer series. The Knicks are a really good team. I think they're the best team in the East right now, but
for sure,
it's hard for me to sit here and just dismiss what the Cavs just did to the Pistons, because had the Pistons gone to the conference finals, the conversation would be the Knicks haven't beaten the Pistons this year. So, you know, I viewed the Pistons as a pretty flawed basketball team because of their inability to create without Cade on the court and the reliance on Cade and how often he had to possess and control the basketball in order for the Pistons to have any offensive success. But the Cavs are a more well-rounded team. James Harden can just get hot for a series. Donovan Mitchell is obviously an incredible scorer. Allen and Mobley have scoring capabilities, and they're really strong defensive players. You know, Max Strus is a interesting role player in the sense that I don't think he's an elite role player, but he plays a very modern role of he can shoot, he can play some solid defense, right? Like, you have that capability there. All it takes is, like, if Max Strus gets hot for a series, there's your offense, right? We kind of saw this with the Pacers. The last two times the Knicks got eliminated in the postseason, it was because the Pistons had a guy step up and just get hot from three. Can the Cavs do that? Can the Cavs generate three-point offense, perimeter offense? But it also looks at the Knicks in the same sense of, like, the Knicks have gotten to rest. They're fresh. They're going into this series fresh. The Cavs are going into this off of a grueling, physical, like, closely fought back and forth 7-game series where are they banged up? Are they going to come into this winded? Or is this actually good for them to have a short wait period? Is it going to help them to come off of that high of Game 7 and then fly into New York and try and keep that going? Are the Knicks going to be hurt by the layoff? Who knows, right? I think it's a fascinating argument both ways, but I think this series goes to 6, and I think the Knicks win it. That's my prediction.
It's funny. I think the Knicks role players are I think they're way more reliable than the Cavs role players. I think Donovan Mitchell, he would have to have consistent games like that Game 7 where he kind of was lights out at the beginning and applied a superb amount of pressure early on in the game, like that first half. I think if he can do that multiple games of the series, then yeah, the Knicks have problems for sure. Like, this might definitely sway the Cavs' way. But otherwise, I think the Knicks are a very steady team where they can control the pace of the game. Like they could get hot. Like a team like the Cavs, they could get hot for a quarter or so, or a few, like maybe 8 to 10 minutes, but it won't really decide the game, right? Like the Knicks could definitely get back into it. I think the Knicks. I think they're in a great position right now. That's just what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think, again, the Knicks are, I think, a better basketball team. Again, it's a matter of, like, the Cavs are not meaningfully worse in the sense that if the Cavs were to get hot from three, they couldn't, stomp the Knicks. Like, the Cavs are a really good basketball team, but I think the Knicks are a better basketball team. I think the Knicks have displayed an ability to both combine excellent offense with really strong defense. Cat is really elevated as a defender and as a playmaker. There's a term that was used for Cat that I think actually works really well. He's become kind of a power tower for that offense. I think he's awesome. I think he's been awesome, and I think he's going to be able to keep generating offense. And obviously, you have Jalen Brunson, the ultimate small guard facilitator and shot creator. One of the best scorers at 6 foot or lower that I've seen in my lifetime. He's an incredible scoring talent, so obviously that's part of this as well. Josh, any final thoughts before we get into Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals?
Nah, I'd like to get into it. I'd like to get into the Spurs. They played great last night. Great levels of intensity from the first quarter down to the second overtime.
Yep.
Complete the entire game. They were just foot on the gas pedal. And by the way, we haven't seen that many overtimes this playoffs. I noticed that. Like, the Lakers had one with Houston. I noticed that. Like, this playoffs, like, I feel like the series have been competitive, but not like the individual games, like in-game competition. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I think there's been a lot of blowouts this year. But hey, this series, it doesn't look like there'll be many blowouts unless one team just gets tired by the third quarter. Then like the other team will just gap them. But the Spurs, I want to give full credit to, like, those rookies, Carter Bryant and like Dylan Harper is crazy. Like, Carter Bryant, great defense, great blocks, great just shutting down SGA on his MVP night, crazy. Dylan Harper, great shot making as a rookie. He's a rookie, by the way. I think, man, this is the best rookie class in a long time. Like, just thinking about Cooper and Knipple, VJ, like, man, just real. NBA's in great hands, man. That's all I can say.
Yeah, and I gotta say, with this game, and this is what I was alluding to earlier with my Victor Wembanyama take. As things stand right now, it's May 19th, 2026. It's 12:57 p.m. Eastern time, folks. Victor Wembanyama is the best player on the planet. SGA won the MVP, and I actually thought he deserved the MVP. But Victor Wembanyama is the best player on the planet. He's the best player in this series. And much like when LeBron wouldn't win MVP, but you'd sit back and go, yeah, he maybe didn't even deserve to win MVP that year, but he's the best player in the world. Obviously, duh, he is the best player in the world. This is the same thing here. SGA won the MVP, and I like SGA a lot. Wemby is better. Yeah, Wemby's an elite offensive player. He's an elite defensive player. He is unstoppable. He pulled up from the logo, Josh. From the logo. He's 7'6".
In the seventh.
What?
Second overtime. Like, and so I just wanted to point out how, like, all right, so 41 points, right? 24 rebounds and 9 offensive rebounds. I think that this game is equivalent to like his, like LeBron in Detroit, right? In 07. Like Ant against the Suns, right? Giannis against the Suns, like, even Shea beating Denver. Like, it's that becoming, like, that, like, this is the start of what you're gonna see for a while. Like, I think this is that for sure. Like, we're gonna see this for a long time. I think Castle, 11 turnovers. He needs to be better for sure. 11 turnovers is crazy. I understand, like, it's his first playoff run, but, like, still, they should have lost that game. If he didn't have the teammates that he had, they would have definitely lost this game. Any other team would have lost. I think you got to play better. Even Devin Vassell, like, he had this, like, quick trigger. I don't know if you noticed, like, every time he caught the ball, like, he was trying to shoot it, like some J.R. Smith type time. Like, he just caught it, and he had the ball up here, and he's, like, throwing it away. I think they need to have some patience. You see, they still make those young mistakes. You'll see it throughout the game, but it's the fact that they still win the game. Like, they're that talented. I think that's crazy.
I think the point you made about their youth is important here, right? Like, yeah, they made a lot of they played like a young basketball team. They played like a basketball team where like the game felt a little bit too quick at times. But their talent level, like, look, the Spurs had this game in the bag entering the fourth, right? Like the Spurs should have closed this thing out in the fourth, but they didn't. Right, and that's a young basketball team thing. That's a thing that, like, hey, you struggle to close out games against really good opponents in hostile environments. Your hands are a little shakier. You have to make quicker decisions. You're struggling to make those quicker decisions. But again, like we're talking about these guys who are like 23, 22, 24, 25. But Victor Wembanyama, what makes it more impressive, and I actually, you know what? I'll stop with Wemby for a second because I do want to talk about Harper because you did make a great point here where, and this wasn't a perfect game from three for him. He shot pretty poorly from three, actually. He shot 1 for 7. But he finds a way to get 24 points. He makes his free throws. He has 6 assists, 1 turnover, 7 steals, right? Like, it's the Spurs, obviously, it's not all skill to end up with a pick high enough to land Dylan Harper, but the way that they've developed him, the way that they've allowed him to grow into a rotation player and a key cog in the machine for a team that won 62 games, right? Like, his maturity is beyond what you could expect for somebody at his age. His poise, his feel for the game, his game speed, his game sense. Like this team is very well coached. I feel they're very disciplined for a young team. Like they'll still make mistakes. Don't get me wrong. I'm gonna harp on those things, right? No pun intended with Dylan Harper, but it reminds me. We mentioned this actually, where we talked about OKC the year that they lost to Dallas in the conference semifinals, where it was like, kind of felt like they were better than that team. They should have beaten that team, but they got handed pretty. They got their butts kicked pretty handedly.
They got outplayed by the best players. It was like the best players in that starting lineup: PJ Washington, Derek Lively,
good veterans.
It was the talent actually outweighed the personnel on the other team, which is rare. But that's kind of what you hope for with players, or at least with teams that kind of have like Luka and stuff on them, where it's like, okay, you expect him to kind of carry the offense. So offensively, they're not that talented personnel-wise, but you hope that they can still get over the hump if you just play through Luka's offense. And obviously, that didn't really happen that year. But we'll see if it happens.
Yeah, I think, again, this is a young team that's hungry, that knows that this is a chance to win a championship. Okay, we're not talking about the Spurs. The Spurs. Okay. In OKC's case, right, because I do want to shift the gears to them a little bit because it's not just about what the Spurs did, it's about what the Thunder couldn't do here a little bit. They have had, it's felt, honest to God, right, it has felt like, much like last year, there's like this when they play like a really good team, there's kind of been this like inability to be that dominant, like, oh my God, historically dominant as they've been over the last 2 years, against this top-level competition, right? They played Denver. They almost got knocked out by Denver. And I thought Denver was better than Minnesota last year. I thought Denver had a better, like, Jokic is a better, I thought last year, Jokic was a better, still had his best player in the world status, I thought. Then you look at the Pacers series. I mean, the Pacers had, I thought, really like a very, like maybe like a 5-10% chance of beating the Thunder. They pushed them to 7. It took an injury to Halliburton to give the Thunder that title. I'm not trying to take away from that title. I'm just saying, like, they were a historically dominant team in the regular season. The year prior, they were the best team in the NBA outside the Celtics record-wise, and they were manhandled by a Mavs team that went to the finals and whom the Celtics proceeded to thrash around the court. That series was never close. So for the Thunder, it's like, all right, when are you going to play like that team, right? Like the Celtics, the year they won the title, thrashed everybody. You want to say, oh, they played an injured team here, there, whatever. They beat the crap out of those teams, right? So they, I think, earned that. The Warriors, when they're at the peak of their powers with KD, they thrashed everybody outside of that Rockets team the year that the Rockets went like 0 for 27 from 3.
2018.
And that Rockets team, like, to the credit of, like, a James Harden, like, I thought that Rockets team would have beaten almost any other team in the league that year. Like, they probably win the finals in a normal NBA season. So, like, the Warriors, when they were at the peak of their powers, dominated their opponents and dominated good competition. The Thunder aren't doing that. I'm not sure if this is an experience thing. I'm not sure if this is a coaching thing. I'm not sure if this is a personnel thing. I do think they lack a little bit of perimeter offense, but like at some point, man, like when are you going to dominate your opponents? When are you going to kick the crap out of a really good NBA team? Like, when is that going to happen for them?
Yeah. Hey, I fully agree with you. I'd sound like a broken record, so I would have that. That Thunder take, that was perfect. I agree with that fully. I think Shea is having this, being overlooked, but he's having a very poor playoff run.
Yeah.
You're looking at that LA series you're looking at right now. I think the Spurs have kind of figured him out. They kind of know who to send at him, and they're figuring him out. They're really making OKC beat them with the other guys. And, hey, we'll see if that can actually last, because it lasted against the other teams. It's not going to last against them, it seems. We'll see. But otherwise, that's pretty much it for the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think...
Who do you think is gonna get to the finals? In your opinion?
You know, honestly, I think the fact that the Spurs took game 1 is kind of important here. If I didn't have that information, I think I was going to go Thunder in 7. I wasn't really sure. I'm going to be honest. And I was going back and forth on this. I think the Spurs will take it in 7. I think this is going to be an incredible series. I think I wouldn't be stunned if the Thunder win it. Wouldn't at all. I think it's like a 55-45 chance for me with the Spurs winning it. These are two incredible basketball teams. These feel like two teams that are going to have a long rivalry for the next decade. And that's exciting me, Josh, because you know what it is, man? I think Wemby genuinely hates them. Like, genuinely. I think there's like a hatred in his heart for them.
Well, he
and there is
against Chet. He
right,
definitely brings it.
There's not enough of that rivalry factor in the NBA anymore, right? Like, there was a little bit of that, like, Jimmy Butler and like the whatever Eastern Conference team was like the flavor of the year, but he's out of the Eastern Conference and he didn't spend enough time with the Heat for it to be like a decade-long thing. LeBron and the Celtics, sure, but it was like very different iterations of Celtics teams, and he only played that Jason Tatum Celtics teams once, I think, in the postseason. So it's not really the same. I know he played them in the early, I guess, yeah, like Celtics LeBron with when he was the Cavs too.
2018, yeah. Yeah, and
but like I guess
Celtics too, yeah.
Right. But like how often do you see like SGA's the 2-time MVP? I think Wemby's better than him. I think they're the two best players in the league.
I think Nuggets and Timberwolves. I think that's a rivalry.
But like, how do I put this? Is it I'm going to use a quote here. Is it a rivalry if they always kick your ass?
Hey, you might be right.
Or even like, but like with the Thunder and Spurs, why it feels like a perfect rivalry. They're in the same conference. They play each other 4 times a year. I think the two best players are on those two teams, in my opinion. At very worst, 2 of the 5 best players in the NBA. Both those teams are legitimate title contenders. There's not like the Timberwolves. There's something lacking there, where like they're a tier below, like the Thunder and Spurs is like an NBA team. The Jokic-led Nuggets have now fallen back into that tier, in my opinion. Like they have every element of a rivalry. It genuinely feels like whoever wins this series is going to be the favorites for the NBA Finals. It genuinely feels like whoever wins this series, it's a legacy moment. It genuinely feels like this is going to be an all-time great series. There is so much history, short-term and long-term writing on this. I feel like we're watching 2 Hall of Famers. You got the Spurs? You got the Spurs, Josh? You taking the Spurs here?
I have the Spurs, man.
How many games?
I'm taking the Spurs. I'm gonna go Spurs, and honestly, I'm not sure. I'm not sure at all, because I feel like they could win like this. Like the close games, they could definitely win. I think it's gonna be the games where maybe they have like early issues in the first half. That's the games where OKC might take it. Otherwise, I don't know. I think the Spurs have it. I think that it could easily be like a 5-6 game series. Like, genuinely speaking, I don't know what the OKC could do with Wemby. Honestly,
That's a fair point, and again, it's hard because this is an outlier talent, right? Like Victor Wembanyama, like I think SGA is a great player, but Victor Wembanyama is a player we've never seen before. We've never seen a Victor Wembanyama. So, like, how do you stop him in a postseason environment? Especially, gosh, could you imagine if like the Spurs clean up the turnovers a little bit, man, and they don't get like this was a bad turnover differential.
That's what I was saying about Castle. If Castle if it had 11 turnovers, it probably wouldn't be a 2 overtime game. It probably would have won way earlier in the regulation.
So the reason that I have the Spurs, and I think you would agree with this too, is like this is a game the Thunder should have won. So let me break down. Let me just give you like the quick stats here. Thunder shot 38% from three. They had 14 turnovers total, and they had they fouled 26 times. The Spurs had 19 fouls, so they had 7 fewer fouls. So the Thunder were a little less disciplined, I guess is the word I'd use. But they had 21 turnovers, and they shot 30% from three. Usually when you outshoot your opponent by 8% from three, and you have 7 fewer turnovers, you usually win that game. At home, you win that game. They didn't win that game. How many games are going to play out like that? Like, that's the question you've got to ask yourself. Alex Caruso shot 8 for 14 from three. He had 31 points. How many times is he going to score 31 points and you're going to lose?
Yeah. I agree.
So, again, like for the Thunder, it was like this is kind of a game you had to have based on like the 3-point shooting and the turnover differential. And for SGA, like I'll say this: if they win this series and SGA wakes up and has a phenomenal series, this is a legacy moment for SGA too. Like this is you want to talk about resume, slapping that one on your resume. And for Wemby, it works the same way too. Like
finals.
Oh, if he wins back-to-back finals MVPs, finals and MVPs.
That looks crazy. And this era where nobody really goes back to back.
Yep.
Yeah, that looks pretty tough. But at the same time, I mean, that reputation of the refs helping him, he's not gonna shake that. I mean, it's still, we've seen it throughout the playoffs. So, I mean, at least the Spurs have the reputation that they have when it comes to defense. So they can't really blow the whistle too much because we're all seeing the defense. It's like, come on, bro, you can't do that. So, we'll see.
Well, I think the Spurs are just, as you mentioned, like they're very disciplined on defense. They're very great. Wemby's the best defensive player on the planet. So I get that helps. That helps.
Unanimous defensive player of the year. Yeah.
Any final thoughts you have? Western Conference Finals, Eastern Conference Finals tonight, or just in general?
I got the Knicks beating the Cavs. I got the Knicks in about maybe 6 or 7 games. I think this will be a close series.
Mm-hmm.
But shout out to the Knicks, man. I just want to see it. I just want to see the Knicks in the finals, man. It's been literally since the 90s, since 1999.
It would be a rematch if the Spurs and the Knicks were to go, because the last time the Spurs beat the Knicks, the Knicks were the 8th seed.
Yeah, Tim Duncan, Dave Robinson. Wow, that'd be crazy.
Wouldn't it be an incredible parallel if Victor Wembanyama were to beat the Knicks in the finals?
I don't want to see it.
I don't want to see that. I want to see the Knicks win the finals, obviously,
right.
but like from an NBA standpoint, that would be an insane parallel
series, because you remember when Brunson had like 60.
Yep.
And oh man.
Remember when
Victor, he took the ball, he threw it. Is that what he did? Wow.
Yeah, and he also had that was the same game that he was just popping off. Like you couldn't stop him. And you have the NBA Cup game they played, which I thought was an incredible basketball game.
Yeah.
Obviously, look, I think the good thing is that I think any combination of teams will result in a really fun NBA Finals. I think even like the Cavs and the Spurs play, that'll be fun. You got two bigs versus Wembanyama. Like that's a fun matchup. You got Donovan Mitchell, who's a great scorer.
I think the Spurs are gonna mop the floor with them.
I think they would too, but I think it'd be fun. It'd be fun.
Maybe.
We get to see. I mean, that's a rivalry, right? Well, no, not really.
No.
It's a rivalry. They faced each other in the finals before.
Like 20 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
get revenge for LeBron for what they did to LeBron when he was a kid.
They jumped him. That was people should try to like hold that against me and stuff. Like, we shot 35%. Yeah, against Bruce Bowen and Tim Duncan. Like, sheesh. Like, okay, bro.
Yeah, man.
Boxing.
Well, guys, I think this is a nice way to stamp this podcast. If you guys like this kind of content, you like what we do here on the R Ball podcast, you can like, subscribe, follow us on our social media platforms. Links to everything will be in the description. We appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll check back in throughout the postseason, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.